Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Star Trek episode review. We are here talking about Prodigy, episodes 1 and 2, Into the Breach, part 1 and 2. Tonight, I'm joined by my usual cohorts and a very special guest. To my right, we have Cousin Cheeto. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Excited to talk about this episode.
Same here. Down below me is Zam. How are you, boss?
Fine, thanks, but I just had my elbow in some bird shit, so I'm cleaning it off as we speak.
Oh, Lord. So sorry, bud. And down in the corner, special guest Tyler Donovan of the Avalon Universe films. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Good to see you guys. It's been a while. And
too
I
long.
also am excited to talk about these two episodes, Cheeto.
Indeed. So we've got a lot to talk about. We'll start with some overall impressions, and then we'll move on to talking about various plot points. We'll start with you, Cheeto. What were your overall impressions of the first fifth of the season?
Actually, these first two and keep in mind, I have not watched any more than these first two episodes. I am just as we review them, which will be 2 a week. I'm only watching them as we review them. So, just letting everybody know in the chat. So if you talk about things in the future episodes, I have no idea. So, and I'd appreciate no spoilers, but it's the internet. You can't stop people. But anyway, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed these first two episodes. I thought they were really good. It's really a total 180 from the first season, in my opinion. I did feel like the first season did lack what I was looking for in a Star Trek, which I'm not saying it's, again, I want to be very clear. I've never said that Prodigy's not Star Trek. I have only said that it's not something I don't really enjoy it all that much. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's not Trek. I'm just saying it's not what I want out of a Trek. Fine. You know what? That's great. But I have to say, in these first two episodes already, I am really impressed with kind of what they're doing with the season so far. I love how they're kind of taking what ramifications from season 1 and roping it into these first two episodes of season 2. I only have one nitpick, and I mean we'll talk more about it later. But I can't stand Dal. I really can't. Like he's already back to, and don't get me wrong. Like if he's going to be that Maverick type character, let him be that character. But I really enjoyed and we can get more into that later, but I really enjoyed these first two episodes compared to the first season. So yeah.
Nice. Tyler?
I agree with Cheeto. Dal is kind of an insufferable asshole. The actor playing him is great. I think the whole cast is great. But I've never liked Dal either. I love the storytelling, despite not liking Dal in particular. But I thought that these two episodes were actually a really nice balance of transition to from where our characters were to now being in Starfleet Academy, or going through the proper procedure to join the Federation and all that kind of stuff. And also it's a good balance of transitioning into that and launching back into some good storytelling.
Exactly. Set up a new status quo, then immediately disrupt the status quo and get us diving right into the action, into the breach, as it were. Very good. Zam, what were your impressions?
I was actually kind of taken back by how surprised I was that this was so much better from the very get-go than I could have imagined it being. And I think, and Tyler touched upon this, I think what made it so good is that we are with Starfleet now. Like it's not like a journey equipped with a bunch of kids learning about the values of Starfleet with a holographic Janeway. We have the real fucking Janeway. We have we have some callbacks obviously to Voyager just generally, and we are with Starfleet. These kids are more ingrained in Starfleet, so the values are there, and it now feels like proper Star Trek than it ever did in the first season when it was still trying to find its feet. Now its feet are firmly established on the ground in Starfleet, and I'm liking where it's going already. I have a feeling that we're going to have one large narrative, and I hope that's not necessarily the case. I would like moments in the first season where we had, even though they were trying to get to a particular end game, I would like to, hopefully we do get some episodes which are more self-contained, than everything being a cliffhanger or whatever, if you know what I mean.
Understood, and I'd
Yeah.
agree. I'd very much like to see some of those kind of capsule episodes too. So, like I said, they don't take very long in setting up a new status quo. The kids are at Starfleet Academy doing preparatory work for their various divisions. What did you guys think of the early segments of the episode? We'll start with you again. We'll go with you, Tyler.
Let me follow on this one. I've been awake for 34 hours, and
Okay.
I just watched the episodes right before this. So
Fair enough.
if you don't mind.
Not at all. Cheeto?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
The question is kind of what was your impression of the early part of the episode, the segments where they're at the intro where they're at Starfleet Academy and before they get summoned, as it were.
I mean, it was kind of nice to catch up with them. My favorite characters from season 1 were rok-tauk, and Jenkum. So, I mean, it was really nice to catch up with them and see kind of where their characters were going at the beginning of the season. So, as I said, I knew from the get-go that Dal was going to be insufferable. I was hoping that he had some character growth from last season, but he just proved throughout both episodes that he is just still the same old Dal. And you know what? Fine. Like, if that's the character he's going to be, but, like, don't make him the leader. Like, he shouldn't be the leader of this group if he's going to be, like, the rogue one. Like, I feel like that's not the call there. I feel like rok-tauk should be the leader, and then he should just kind of be the one that everybody kind of like thinks he's so cool because he's a rogue, but always gets them in trouble. You know what I mean? So
yeah, kind of.
But in the beginning, it was great. Oh, go ahead, Mage. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely, like you said, a necessary evil. He kind of, you need an idiot at the helm, as it were, to have an idiot plot, and that's kind of like my one gripe with the episodes is, like, it's one of those situations where it's the idiot plot trope. It wouldn't happen unless people were acting stupid. But we have to have the conflict, and we need to have the kids go on their adventure into the future. So, yeah. And what were you saying when I cut you off? Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed catching up with the characters. Zero's another one. I don't give Zero enough credit sometimes, because like I see her as kind of like this droid or whatever, but she's really not. I don't even know if she's a she, really. I mean, it's just Zero. But I feel like that there's also some really good things throughout these first 2 episodes for Zero, and questioning how a non-corporeal being can enjoy the world of corporeal beings, kind of like. And I really, really like the way that they teamed her up with the Doctor in these first 2 episodes. I think that's going to be a really great plot point for Zero's character in this season, with in her character growth with the Doctor. So. But yeah, in the early goings, like, yeah, I thought having the Doctor back would be a little cringe, but it actually wasn't. It just worked. It just kind of worked, and I liked having him back.
Agreed. It could have easily been handled poorly, but instead he was well written. It felt like the character from Voyager, the end of Voyager, when he had all of his, what character growth he had. So yeah, I enjoyed seeing the Doctor back too. Zam, what are your thoughts on this segment?
Regarding the beginning,
Yeah,
the early
just
parts.
the beginnings.
It was nice to see them learning about Starfleet, so they're more ingrained with it. So they are pretty much Starfleet officers from the get-go, cadets, however you want to talk about it. But regarding Dal, if he doesn't want to learn, then he shouldn't be in Starfleet. Like it boggles my mind how he's able to last as long as he has been, skiving off, or I don't know if you know what I mean by skiving off, but
Playing
not going
cookie.
to class. we're not going to classes, and all of that. Yeah, he somehow wants to be a Starfleet officer. It makes no sense. I mean, you have to be educated. You need to know things. You can't just, this idea of like being the hero without having a brain. It just doesn't work in Starfleet. So I just find that a bit weird overall. I can understand him being a cocky character and all of that, but you still have to know your shit, And I'm having to refrain myself from talking more. But because I don't want to give anything away unnecessarily, but he's a bit of a weird character to have at this stage of his arc, so to speak, because I think there should be enough in his arc that he wants to study more and learn more. I mean, maybe not necessarily be like rok-tauk in that sense, but definitely have a better desire for what Starfleet's all about, considering what he went through in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not too happy with his arc so far. Hello, I'm on the fucking stream here, for fuck's sake. But yeah, just seeing the gang get back together again, knowing that they all were individually doing their own things because they were all studying something that was ingrained in who they are, and then getting them back together was a nice touch as well. But because we saw them all together at the end of the first season, and now we're seeing them back together again at the beginning of the second season, I didn't even fucking notice that they're that far apart in the first place. It might have been nice to have them do other things on their own before we got them back together again. So it really did feel like they were apart.
Yeah, give them at least a full act of being apart instead of it being mostly implied off screen, as it were.
Before do you want me to get to a couple comments before we move on?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So just a couple here. Daniel's apparently saying, I'm preparing some humble pie for next week's episode. What flavor would you all like? Apparently there's something that happens in next week's episode that gives at least me some humble pie based on timelines. So I guess we'll see what happens there next week. Sorry. Daniel Vance says, greetings everyone. Welcome, Tyler. Daniel Vance also says he kept notes for 2 weeks. And Tyler, just so you know, I'm keeping your mic muted for right now. We're getting some kind of feedback. So if you go to talk, just unmute yourself, okay? Go ahead. What?
You're getting feedback from me on my end?
Yeah. We were getting some feedback when we were talking. Okay. So when I muted you, it went away. And actually, I don't hear it now. So maybe I'll just leave it and see what happens.
Okay.
But Daniel Vance was telling me earlier.
I'm in a hotel room and there's an air conditioner running.
Okay.
But I can turn it off if that's the deal.
No, it's fine. I don't hear it right now. So, okay. Hi, ladies. I didn't enjoy it. It's not Star Trek, in my opinion. Just more Klutzman Star Wars Trek nonsense smeared in nostalgia to hide all the cracks. I'm surprised you lot enjoyed it. We're a class act.
Let me quickly tell you something, Rick B. The guys from AEW, especially Tony Khan, they love Star Trek Prodigy. So hopefully that'll change your mind.
Yeah, I can chime in on that one.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hey, the first time I tried to watch it, I didn't like it. When I watched the first 10 episodes, I wasn't crazy about it. Because I just thought it felt like Star Wars Rebels. So yeah, it does have a lot of a Star Wars feel in a lot of places, and and it does, like Zam, you were just talking about how Dal's character doesn't really make sense, the way he deals with things versus like the position that he's in. So yeah, it's a kid's show. It does require a lot of suspension of disbelief on the part of the audience, but if you can do that, you can enjoy it.
Actually,
and it's the really good parts, because episodes 19 and 20, of season 1, holy shit! It was like, okay, this is these 2 episodes are the reason to watch. You watch 1 through 18, so you can get to 19 and 20, because those 2 episodes were absolutely phenomenal. And it's like, wow, this is a show. I
just want to quickly add. You mentioned Star Wars. We were jokingly calling Gwyn's dad, Palpatine at time. We weren't even using his real name because we fucking forgot what his real name was, and we were calling that robot of his General Grievous, which was definitely they were using General Grievous. And another problem, and I hope they don't do this with season 2, is that they split season 1 so far apart that it might as well have been 2 fucking seasons. Season 1, because I think it was like 20 episodes, but they spread it across like a year. You know, like I think, but like after a year, you got the second half of season 1. And I don't think that really helps with the overall storytelling, especially if you're going to give it to kids and you want this to be a kids show. You got to show it on a fucking weekly basis, or they're going to forget and move on to the other thing. You know, I forgot about this show until other people reminded me, other Trek nerds reminded me that this show was coming back. I would never realized, and that was during season 1. So, anyway, sorry, we will go with the comments.
All right. I wish the Doctor had used his proper name to introduce himself. That would mean he would pick one. I don't think they're ever going to pick a name for him. I don't think they will ever, unless there's some story beat as to why he picks a name. I don't think they'll ever just have him pick a name. Maybe if somebody sacrifices himself and then he takes their name up as, you know, in remembrance or something. But I don't think he's ever going to. I don't think he's ever going to pick a name. They won't put a stamp on it. He had plenty of time to come up with one, and you are correct. He had a couple years at this point to come up with one. I'm surprised he still has a mobile emitter. Is what I'm surprised. I'm surprised Starfleet isn't studying the crap out of that, and they let him keep it. Because, you know, according to Starfleet, pretty much he's property. Like the EMH is pretty much property of Starfleet. I have no idea who this show is for. It's too crap and kiddie for adults and children. Don't give a shit about it. Okay, well, I mean, we all know your opinions on anything new Trek. So you're really like, you know, you're screaming into the void, my friend. So
well, I mean, like I said, I didn't like it the first time I watched the first 10 episodes. So, you know, Rick's, you know, has every right to his opinion. You know,
Rick is a frequent commenter, but every single episode of New Trek is like his worst enemy, and every episode is worse than the one before. So you know, just take it with a grain of salt at this point.
Yeah, the raging boner of hate for Alex Kurtzman.
He really does. Like it's a
hate.
Okay. Oh, sorry. The Doctor was the best part. The Doctor was the best, one of the best bits, I would say. But not the best, I don't think. I loved Rick B. Enjoyed it far more than Lower Decks. That's very sad. Even Daniel Vance is making me sad today. It's better than Lower Decks, definitely.
Oh, they both agree on that.
Lower Decks is animated ADHD. You know what? You're not wrong, and maybe that's why I like it so much. I had a problem with Janeway's bridge crew stating that they follow her orders over Starfleet's. I actually did have a problem with that line. This was far from Picard informing the crew of breaking orders and taking objections for the log. So you are correct. Jay Brown says, huge Tyler Donovan fan. Well, you are in good company because we are all huge Tyler Donovan fans. So
yes.
All right, we are all caught up. Sorry, Mage, go ahead.
No need for sorry. We're here to talk with the folks about the episode and have a discussion. I'm all.
Thank you, Jay Brown.
So yeah, no. We get to another. So we now proceed to the part where they get brought to the Voyager, and we get the bit. We see the new Voyager. What did you guys think of it?
It's the Voyager B. Is it the Voyager B or what?
It's the Voyager-A.
Voyager-A.
Yeah,
a Voyager-A.
But
okay, it's supposed to, but it's not the old Voyager. That's now in a museum. You know,
thanks, Rick.
Okay, it's all right. Honestly, it's hard to say. Really, I don't know what made it stand out to me compared to the previous Voyager. Plus, it's animated. So it's really hard to really see it from a different perspective compared to the old Voyager, this being a cartoon. So it's cool. I mean, at least Voyager's got legs. It's another Voyager. I guess that's a good thing. It's good that the old Voyager was put away because it's of its historical content, and the new Voyager should be out there. Ironically, captained by Admiral Janeway as well, which is, I guess, a good thing. So. Yeah, it would have been nice. You know what? They could have finally ended. They could have finally ended all this Harry Kim shit if he was in this show. You know, as a fucking as somebody who,
at least.
Yeah, something like that. You know, they could have ended it all because I'm the only person who finds the Harry Kim promotion thing not a big deal because they were in the fucking Delta Quadrant trying to get back home, so him being promoted wasn't on their minds. Getting back home was, but you could have, because we're in the aftermath of that now. It would have been nice to see him have that promotion in some capacity in this show. But this is the only show I can think of the way they can fucking do it. You know, so.
And I'm sure they could. I mean, I'm sure Garrett would do it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he likes working, from what I can see.
Sorry, this comment here is Voyager looks like a sovereign class with buck teeth.
I liked the new Voyager. I thought it looked great. I noticed it's an NX class. It looked like.
I think it was an NCC.
Wasn't it an NCC?
Yeah, it was NCC. It was the same. It was
the Protostar. Sorry, yeah.
The Protostar was an NX. I think. I think, but
had that NX-01 kind of vibe to it with the armor on it and everything. I think it looked nice. But I digress. Cheeto, anything to add about?
Oh yeah, I mean the Voyager-A looked great. It was a Lamar class. I mean, yes, you're right. It's kind of like a smaller Sovereign looking class, but it has that sleek design to it. It has that kind of like Voyager deflector dish in the front. It looked a lot. It really invoked the Intrepid class deflector dish. So I thought that was a good homage to the original Voyager by making the Lamar class kind of have that Voyager-esque deflector dish on it, plus the really slim front, saucer section. It just made it different. And I get where people say it kind of looks like the Sovereign class. It does, but I think it's just because the nacelles look the same and they're kind of angled the same as the Sovereign class. But if you look at it, it kind of looks a lot different than the Sovereign class, in the details. But I do love in this episode, well, yeah, I'm going to bring it up. I do love that since we're talking about the ship design, I do love how they address turbo lifts, because I think this is the first time in a Star Trek that they have ever addressed the fact that the turbo lifts go not just up and down, but they also go sideways. And I know that everybody talks about it, but I think this is the first time in canon that they have actually addressed this, like speaking it. So I thought that was great. I'm like, oh, they're finally talking about the turbo lifts and how they're not just elevators. They go down, they go sideways, up and down. I mean, they did have what they had on Discovery, the elevator void or whatever you want to call that, in season 3.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, but this is actually turbo lifts that actually have shafts and they cross and they go back. I mean, so I really enjoyed them explaining that, even though it was a quick throwaway line.
No, I liked seeing it. It was a cool shot of seeing the turbo lifts for sure. Tyler, do you have anything to add about Voyager-A?
I like that as well. Seeing the turbo lift. I mean, because as kids, we always just assumed we just figure, well, because the neck of a Constitution class is a 45-degree angle, so we're like, well, you can't just go straight up and down like an elevator, so it's got to go, or maybe diagonally at an angle. I like seeing, actually seeing. It's I think that's the first time I'm aware that that's ever been done. I thought it was cool.
No, great touch, definitely. So we've touched like the Protostar design. Excellent. Well, that's one nice thing Rickby had to say about Prodigy. So we can't say didn't say something nice.
I actually did not like the Protostar's design. I was not a fan of that Protostar design. I didn't like how it shifted, and I did like the Protostar drive, like the way things kind of opened up. I didn't, but they did also say that they had a slipstream in it, so we're gonna see some slipstream, probably.
Slipstream turbo lifts.
No, slipstream ship. Like the Voyager-A has a slipstream drive.
Okay.
Yep. So we touched on it a little bit, like in the character of Dal and how he's necessary for the idiot plot to happen. Do we kind of want to talk about his cockamamie plans? And
cockamamie. Oh my god, that word. I thought that went out with Clint Eastwood movies, but no. They brought it back. You're on mute, Tyler.
Story I've ever heard. Yeah, you don't remember that? in Star Trek 4. Catherine Hicks said that to Kirk. That's
Oh,
the biggest
okay.
cockamamie fish story I've ever heard. Yeah.
I just remember it from like a really good movie called In the Line of Fire, and where Clint Eastwood plays a Secret Service guy,
That was a
and
good
he
movie. Damn good.
and he used the word cockamamie, and like people were, who the fuck says that anymore? You know, and yeah, that's how I remember the word. You know, I've never used it myself. You know, just in case I slip up and I might say something else. So. There's nothing wrong with Clint Eastwood movies. I'm just saying it just feels like it's from Clint Eastwood movies.
So the joke didn't land with you. I thought it was a funny running gag. But no, the kids sneak into Shuttle Bay 3 and everything. It just good kids show stuff. What did you think, Cheeto?
I mean, I thought it was fine. Like, again, like for what it was, you know, okay, so as you said earlier, somebody said that he's like that Dal is like a necessary evil. I think it is the fact that I just don't like that he's like the leader of this ragtag group. So, but I mean, I was fine with the whole sneaking around, finding the cloak ship. I guess it's more like insurrection, if anything else. But yeah, I didn't mind it. I thought it was, as I said, I feel like honestly, it shouldn't have been the whole group going around. I felt like it maybe should have been like Dal and Zero sneaking around, maybe. And then of course rok-tauk, or not rok-tauk, maybe Jankum gets involved because they're trying to figure out the cloak and like they need an engineer or something. Like they could have roped everybody in some way instead of just all of them happening to be in the same area going, oh, you look like you're going to get in trouble. You look like you're going to get in trouble. Murph, let's go. I don't want to get in trouble. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait, no. I'm gonna go anyway because reasons. So
Got to keep the others out of trouble. That's the job of the nanny character.
Yeah, that's a straight person.
It's funny in a way because like the Doctor, regardless of him having character development, he's still just a computer program. Yet he's somehow so humanized that you almost forget that he is a hologram. That he's able to make verbal gaffes. And which is what made Zero realize that he's hiding something, and I
almost thought that was on purpose. Like I almost thought that was on purpose so that they would find it or something. I don't know. Like I thought that was a part of the plan originally before we got to the point of no return. But
obviously Dahl thinking something up, nobody else does. Then obviously the verbal gaff. Now Zero believes something's up. She goes, like that. It was so weird. And then they decide to discover what's going on. And obviously Deck 3 and all of that doesn't exist, but does exist. Yeah, fair enough. It's just a way to get the story moving, I guess.
Daniel Vance wants to mess Jankum's hair up so much. The greaser look was post-sonic shower. Okay.
Yeah, it looked like he had a lot of product.
I like the way,
for real.
I like the way he tried to be nice the whole time as well. Like
that was a good gag.
But you figure with another Tellarite, he'd be able to be offensive because that's how Tellarites communicate. Like they talk in insults to each other. Like I get him trying to be nice to everybody else, but then when that Tellarite came up and started talking to me, he should have just been like complete Tellarite and just insulted him. Go ahead, Tyler. He'll be back.
Yeah, be right back.
Okay. He must be getting room service because he's a big name actor.
Maybe you should turn the camera off if that was the case. Jenkin Pog's hair. Yeah, that was something I did pick up on, by the way, because it was. You mentioned the sonic showers and all of that. Yeah, that was something I only picked up on a little bit during the course of the episode when I saw his hair all nice and tidy. Yeah, nice little touches like that. I do appreciate it. It's pretty cool.
So we can move on to Gwen's plot line. A lot going on there, mostly in the second episode. She's going to Solemn to try to prevent the Civil War from happening after First Contact. And
I really need to add. I'm bursting to talk about this. There's
Okay,
something
go
that before I forget is that how this episode began was just her and one other person on this fucking Starfleet shuttlecraft. You know, like this is a big fucking deal. You know what I mean? You need a proper Starfleet vessel going to this location with a fucking crew, not two people where shit could happen, and which it did, obviously.
Well, no, this is a
And
complete disregard for the Prime Directive at this point, because they're not a spacefaring race, right? Like it, or are they? They're not warp capable, from what I understood. Or are they?
I'm not sure because
Because they
I'm
were
not
talking about making first contact. I mean, maybe they are spacefaring and they just hadn't communicated with the Federation yet, but it seemed like they were.
You make a good point, but I'm just saying, with that also included, then I do feel that there should be like a proper Starfleet vessel,
Mhm.
you know,
I agree.
dealing with this, not just two people in a fucking craft, you know, and then she's just left to do her deed on her own, you know, and then obviously we see what happens to her mate afterwards in space. So there is some sort of connection with space, obviously, with her,
Yeah, they have
with the ship.
warships.
Sorry, I apologize for jumping so ahead with that,
No, it's
person
fine.
with that ship being destroyed.
Yeah, no,
But
you're
just,
right about that. So I mean, there's got to be some kind of space.
yeah,
It just seemed like the way that they approached it, it made it sound like they were a pre-warp civilization. I thought, like, that's the impression I got. But you're right, there were warships in orbit and stuff.
yeah.
So,
I mean, this
and
is
if
not
it
like
can take out a Federation shuttle, then or a Federation ship, then it's got to be at least somewhat advanced.
like this is not like a little pleasant trip to Vulcan or something where you already know the people and there's loads of Vulcans in Starfleet anyway. This is like a whole different ball game, and
This is literally first contact.
yeah, exactly. And I just felt that they need, and like there was a lot riding on this as well. You know, like this is a very important mission, and I just felt like this being a two people job in the shuttlecraft just felt like this is so wrong here. Like there should be a captain involved. There should be a whole fucking crew involved and everything, keeping an eye on things so they can get message back to Starfleet. You know, because of the importance of this mission. So I just felt, yeah, it just felt wrong. I mean, the only thing I have is that the undercover nature of it regarding what Janeway's doing as well. So that could be the reason why it was only a two-man fleet mission as well. But I don't know, like there seemed to be more to it than that. I don't know. It just felt like maybe, yeah, I've already mentioned there should be more people involved, a lot more.
Can I play devil's advocate and say what I think the logic is?
No, you
Yeah,
cannot.
So I think the logic is these people get scared by an actual first contact, and they're trying to avoid that negative repercussion. So they're trying to only send down somebody who is technically a member of that species.
But they can still be in space.
Valnicott.
I mean, the ship could still be obviously will be in space. They're just sending one person down,
Or at the very
Yeah.
least, having them at the like having them on the outskirts of the like a starship on the outskirts of the system and send a shuttle to the planet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
basically say, look, you know, our ship is way out here. Like we are not intruding on your space. We would like to send a shuttle in with a representative, like with a representative of your people as well as one of our diplomats. Blah blah. You know what I mean? Like. I feel like Zam's right. There could have been much better ways to handle this whole situation.
No, they should be trying to do a proper first contact if they're going to send somebody there at all.
Yep.
Yeah. But I keep forgetting, is that other girl like the future version of Gwen, or is it like
No, she's another one of the Valnicott who has come from their future, the post
Oh
Civil
yes,
War.
I remember. I
future.
remember
She
now.
was the one who was posing as Starfleet last season.
Yeah, she was undercover in it. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she's the one that made shit hit the fan in the last two episodes.
Wasn't she the one who was on the Dauntless with Janeway?
Yes,
Undercover.
Cynthia.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, playing the very innocent girl who was really not that. It's always the innocent ones. Remember that. Yeah.
That's the trope. So, yeah, very interesting kind of civilization that, we've got these elders and, kind of feels old-fashioned type of governance and stands on ritual. but they've got enough technology for the Federation to feel like First Contact's a thing in just 52 years. Kind of a dichotomy there, I felt like. And then later in the episode, we find out that she can undergo some kind of, dangerous ritual to prove, kind of that she is one of them. Kind of had made me think of Vulcan. Do you guys get kind of vibes? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you're talking about
just the solemn itself, kind of having Vulcan vibes of the kind of civilization.
Yeah, with that Middle Eastern style setting, or maybe like ancient Greek style setting. As well with the stone and robes and stuff like that. Yeah, and their rituals. Obviously, I'm still hoping that we get a payoff of who the hell shot that Starfleet vessel in space, because I do think that needs to be answered as well, in my opinion, and all of that. So
I thought it was the warships. Like, I thought it was just the warships, the council, like the council's warships or whatever in orbit or something. Like that was my assumption.
But by doing that, theoretically, they're almost starting a war with Starfleet, aren't they? Which is possibly what happens. Oh shit! Sorry, I'm saying too much. I've seen 4 episodes, by the way, so I've got to really refrain myself from saying more than I have to. But yeah, there's you know what? Let me just keep my mouth shut. Go on, Mage.
Oh, okay. So eventually she flees to the diviner's house. She goes to her father's, and we find out that he's an astronomer on a planet with no interest in the stars, he says. But they have warships, so this whole part seems a little muddled.
It kind of reminds me almost like the Baku. You know what I mean? Like, like they settled on this planet. They have no real interest in space travel, even though they can. That's just what it seems like to me. Like, the Baku, like they were very up on, and they knew all about like spacefaring technology, but they just had no interest in it.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Tyler?
That's a good point, actually. I never thought of it though, like that. I can go to space, but don't give a fuck about it.
No, I'm trying to do a thing.
Yep.
Trying to adjust my camera.
Sorry. Okay.
Right, we're good.
So, and the young diviner is kind of like the complete antithesis of the one we got to know in season 1. Where he's, kind of kind and loyal. He wants to, of course, help her. He's immediately trusting and buys that, not immediately buys it, but as soon as he sees the heirloom, he buys into the fact that she is who she says she is. What do you guys think of the softer, kinder diviner? Do you think he's going to keep going in that direction, or do you think that he might... Go ahead.
Wasn't that originally because he had amnesia? When he woke up, he didn't know who he was, and he didn't remember what his motivations were and things like that, right? That's why
at the end of season 1,
like a good guy.
Yeah, but now the one from the past, though, or the present,
I didn't like him in season 1 only because he just seemed like a Nero ripoff, like Nero from Star Trek 2009. Like,
yeah.
Like that, like, oh, we met the Federation and it put us in civil war. And what's going on here right now is almost like, I feel like they're creating, like right now, what's going on is going to be creating the civil war anyway. So it's like, is all of this happening anyway because of the time loop? So no matter what happens at this point, whether the Federation talks to them or not, there will be a civil war. There will be the whole thing of, then the Protostar going back in time. I feel like, and I know that they were talking about when they were, talking about the Protostars, like, the Protostar in order to preserve the timeline, the Protostar has to leave and go through the wormhole in order to go back in time so that Gwen still exists and all of the and all of the characters come together and everything. But it's kind of like Endgame, like they're trying to make sure everything happens, but then they return like the Infinity Stones right to the point in which they left, so everything in those timelines can still continue. You know what I mean? Like they're going to bring Chakotay back, but they need to make sure that all of these pieces fall in a row first before they bring Chakotay back.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that that they like Janeway. She never caught them in the act, did they? They hid from Janeway. How did Janeway find out about them? I totally forgot.
Because when Dahl was trying to sneak back in, he somehow ended up over the bridge and fell in.
Oh,
onto
yeah,
the bridge.
I mean, it's
I
such a
remember,
small
yeah.
ship that, I mean, the bridge Jeffries tubes looks probably a lot like Shuttle Bay 3's Jeffries tubes. I mean,
It's idiot plot happening for
Yeah.
contrivance so it can move along.
I can forgive some of that, as I said. Go ahead,
And they
Tyler.
changed the Jeffrey. Sorry, the Jeffrey tubes have changed now. Like no need to crawl. Now you can crouch. Much better.
I mean, I know they're kids, but
Yeah.
big tubes.
If I may go back to talking about the design of the Protostar, I didn't like the Protostar at first either, because I thought this thing. Why would this thing be so tiny? Because I mean the bridge is a bubble, that covers almost the entire saucer section, and it's like, well, this thing has got to be super small, but it's still a cool ship. It's a cool looking ship, and I'm like, that's how you sell toys. That would make I would totally buy the Protostar toy if I found one.
I would not, but that's okay.
And I would hang it up. And
I just don't like
make
the
warp
design of it.
trails coming out of it.
But hold on, like they got the Protostar is now back with Starfleet, correct? And it's the most advanced ship they got.
No, it was destroyed. They're
Destroyed.
rebuilt. Yeah, it was destroyed. They're rebuilding the Protostar.
Okay, fair enough. So, but they've got this new ship now, the Interceptor. What the fuck was it called? But it's the cloak ship, because obviously they're not allowed to
The
cloak.
Infinity.
Yeah.
The Infinity was the
And
The
beyond.
Infinity and beyond.
Oh.
Yeah, they should have called it the Buzz. That would have been a much better thing to call it. But regardless, yeah, this is the ship they're going to get to Chakotay back with. Fair enough. Well done.
Nope. So, you gave me a great segue. So we had the idiot plot happening. Janeway reveals to the kids kind of what the plan is. We see the footage of Chakotay sending the Protostar back, and his "I did it for you," or what does he say? He says, yeah, he basically tells, says, "Tell Catherine I did it for her." And I thought that was kind of sweet. It's like, great, let's go back to that whole thing. Zam, what are your thoughts on that? Oh, and there's I don't know where I'm going with this.
On Chakotay failing to get onto the Protostar and the footage they have of him and all of that.
Of him, his sacrifice being when he thinks he's stranding himself in the past, he thinks of Catherine. That's kind of what I was wondering your feelings on.
I think
that a plot line in Voyager that you liked, or is that something you wish they hadn't brought back up?
I don't even know what to think of it, to tell you the truth. But I do feel they only brought it here as a way of Chakotay getting a message out to Janeway, in order for Janeway to rescue him, even though he's in a different fucking timeline as well. I mean, it's so mind-boggling, as well. And I just want to also add just a tangent here, a tiny bit. Like, Dahl doesn't even call Admiral Janeway Admiral.
No.
He calls her fucking Janeway.
He can't separate the hologram one from the reality one.
like she takes it like, but she'd be saying, "Listen, motherfucker, I'm Admiral to you. I'm Sir, I'm Ma'am, whatever." Like,
Tyler.
Like, what the hell are you addressing me by my surname? Like I'm like I'm your equal in rank. It's just, I found that more frustrating than anything. But regarding Chakotay, yeah, I just think it was a way of him sending out a message. That's all really. There's not much to it. Hello?
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah.
Cheeto, sweet moment, or him doing sending a message?
I never
Thoughts?
liked the whole Janeway Chakotay thing. I never was a fan. I mean, it.
Are you,
it
sorry, I apologize, Cheeto. Are you talking about that one episode when they were stranded together on that planet and they almost became lovers? Is that what you're on about?
I mean, that happened, but there was always a will they, won't they with Chakotay and Janeway throughout the whole series. I mean, everybody was saying that. So,
I just thought that on that particular episode they might as well do, because they've only got each other. But I never really thought of will they, won't they, in my opinion. But fair enough.
But no, I mean, I didn't care for it. I mean, no, I really didn't. It was cool to kind of see how the Protostar went back and see Chakotay and Robert Beltran coming back to voice Chakotay and just having that. I know we are going to get more of Chakotay. That is not a spoiler. I know we're going to get him more throughout this series, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they do with Beltran. I'm praying that they do more with him than they did with him in Voyager, because I'm sorry, Beltran had maybe a handful of good couple episodes, and then he was just a throwaway character. So I'm hoping in this series they kind of do him some justice, throughout this with whatever they do with him.
Can I add something else as well? Like, are you guys impressed with the voice acting in this show? Because I sometimes think that they might need a better director when it comes to the voice acting, because these are phenomenal actors in Star Trek, especially Robert Picardo. But sometimes I don't think they're maybe expressing themselves in a more natural way as animated characters, and they come across a little bit wooden. And I would say that about Picardo. I would definitely say that about Beltran, and a little bit about Kate Mulgrew. They're not like Mark Hamill level of voice actor, who are very used to it. These guys are probably more used to working in front of a camera and not in the studio. And so I do feel the director needs to work on these guys a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a hard transition to make, I'm sure. You don't have the energy of the other people in front of you and around you to bounce off of and help inform your performance. It's kind of acting. You kind of know what it's like. It's difficult to act into a nothingness, just act the camera without it something to bounce off of.
Just going to really quickly throw up here Daniel Vance comment. He says, it does feel like the voice actors are doing lines and not interacting with each other. It's performances. Gwen often falls flat for me. So, and then one other comment. So the Voyager has 3 shuttle bays. If it still has a captain shuttle under the saucer section, just how much of this ship is other ships? I think the Voyager-A is much bigger than the Voyager, though. It feels like it's a bigger ship. Oh, and then Daniel Vance says the wormhole's properties make it perfect for a retro-causality bootstrap paradox. So there we go.
Oh, by the way, I want to ask, what do you think was that giant bubble in space and the wormhole? What the fuck was that?
Yeah, the anomaly. What is with that? Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't.
Oh, Tyler, lost him again. I don't know. Guardian of Forever. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I can't tell if it's going to be like a character from the future, or if it's going to be a character from the future, or if it's going to be just like a space entity. I wonder if it's hologram Janeway in some kind of new form or something, like some kind of new, maybe her program after the Protostar exploded got integrated into some kind of non-corporeal something or other, blah, 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 blah. And then it turned in, because the way it sounded like talking to them, when it popped up, it almost kind of sounded like it was warning them not to, and worried about them doing something.
It was a warning for sure.
I agree with your former statement. I do feel it's them from a different time period trying to make sure that they don't repeat the same mistake, and so they can stop this loop that they might be in. But so I think that I do feel it. there was something about it that made it feel like it was like that bubble thing felt more like a giant, like telephone message or something like that in space. Like, I'm going to throw this bubble in space and it's going to send a message for me. That's how it felt more than anything.
Daniel Vance, is that going to be your new cereal? It's all Daniels, like oops all berries. I know he's talking about Daniels from Enterprise, but still.
Wait, what's wrong with you, man?
So we're running out of time, so I'm gonna just go ahead and bring it to kind of the climax of the second episode, where the kids are trying to beat Nova Squadron candidates that they've had beef with somehow. For staring at them, these Nova Squadron candidates get beef with them, and so they're trying to, after spilling the beans over and over in the hallways, they're having to race the Vulcan.
That's so stupid. Yeah.
Oh, and everybody getting on the elevator and making her mad. Just funny stuff, but we end up with them they're gonna move the shuttle, but they engage the autopilot and it goes into the breach and early with not the right crew on board, and that's how we end the episodes that we're going to be reviewing. What are you guys' thoughts on just the whole end segment? The too cartoony, or is it just right? I'll start with you, Cheeto.
I don't think these first episodes were too cartoony. There were definitely some cartoon shenanigan elements to it. I'm not denying that, but I feel like this season is starting off a lot better than the first season did in regards to like the antics and stuff like that. I do want to point out just really quick about Cetacean Ops, by the way. Yay, whales!
True.
We actually saw whales. Now we had Cetacean Ops mentioned, and then in Lower Decks you actually saw it with the that wasn't beluga whales. Or were they dolphins? I think they were dolphins.
It's dolphins on Lower
Now they
Decks.
just got a whole freaking humpback whale on the Voyager. So, I'm surprised they didn't say anything when they got off the turbolift going, there be whales here. Yeah, but that's more of a Lower Decks thing than it is.
They contained it with transparent aluminum.
That's true.
We need to see, I'm going to call it sanitation, observation deck, whatever. But regardless, we need to see some fucking marine life in live action now. Like, if you're going to tease it in a couple of cartoons, I want to see it in live action now. And I don't mean Seacoast DSV. I want it in fucking Star Trek, for fuck's sake.
Daniel Vance says, loved Majel. Great nod to Majel Barrett. What was that from? The nod to Majel Barrett. I don't know what. Daniel Vance, clarify, please.
Maj L is the name of the Vulcan Nova Squadron candidate.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Vance says that whale had to be one of George and Gracie's children. That is true, because there weren't humpbacks were extinct, right? When the probe came in Star Trek 4. So, and then yes, he gave the female Vulcan's name. Yeah, I was excited to see that. So anyway, I'll pass it along. Whoever.
They split the group kind of nicely as well. With they had some, and I thought, by the way, that cadet, she outranked the other cadets because she had bars on her fucking uniform, while the other ones didn't.
Well,
so I thought she could.
I think the bars are for years, right? How many years they've been at Starfleet Academy? Isn't that how?
Oh, really? No.
I think there's 1, 2, and 3 bars, right? Isn't
it's the equivalent of a rank for?
Well, it's the equivalent of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Exactly. That's. I think that's what it was. At least the Next Generation, I think, because Wesley, I think, had the bars on this comm badge behind his. It had the bars on it on their cadet uniforms.
Well, you had the two teams though, and you conveniently split them up in a way that had some of them on the ship and some of them back on Voyager. So, that was an interesting touch. Now, adding to the cast as well, will Majel play a bigger role in the future? Who knows?
I mean, she's on the Infinity, so I assume she is.
Yeah, I mean, for now, but however long that storyline lasts. I mean, we are getting 20 episodes, yeah? Oh yeah, all 20 episodes are already out. I do apologize.
Yep,
So,
all 20 episodes are already out.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Tyler, what were your thoughts of the end sequence of the episode, kind of the last 5-10 minutes, with the kids trying to race the the Nova Squadron candidates and ending up taking the Infinity into the wormhole?
Ooh, a great cliffhanger. Like, I love it. You know, anything. And I know Zam, you were talking about. I think it was Zam that was talking about you want to see more. Bottle episodes, more self-contained. I'm a serialized kind of guy. I like serial. So
Oops, all Daniels.
Huh?
I'm
all Daniels.
I'm not saying I'm 100% like wanted self-contained. I don't mind that. I just hope that not every episode is going to be ending with a cliffhanger. Like the whole series. Like we have 20 episodes. It would be nice amongst those 20 just to get a self-contained story.
Yeah.
That
you had to balance
maybe
it out and keep the two partners more impactful.
I'm fine with this.
But
I'm fine with this. This was a nice cliffhanger. I have no problem with that. I just hope it's not going to be like every episode. Like we just dealt with one cliffhanger, and now we're going to see where things go, and boom! As soon as that episode ends, there's another fucking cliffhanger, and then we resolve that in the episode after that, and then it ends with another cliffhanger. I wouldn't want that. That would get I would be very fatigued of that. But as we just started this season, I have no problem with this. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, Cheeto, is the poll up, sir?
Yep, poll's already up.
Excellent. Let's do some final thoughts and marks, unless there's any part in particular you guys still wanted to talk about. Anybody? Okay.
No.
No? All right, we'll do final thoughts and a grade for the episode. Tyler, do you want to start us off, boss?
No.
No?
I don't.
He's like, keep going in order.
I'll go ahead and give my. Well, yeah. I can go. I was so blown away with the last two episodes, especially of season 1. That as great as these first two episodes were, I'm gonna say, I mean, they set the bar so high for themselves now that I'll call these first two episodes a 7.
7.
Comparatively.
Nice. Okay,
7.5. 7.5.
7.5. Okay, we'll go anti-clockwise. Sorry.
Yeah,
no, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're ahead.
Anti-clockwise, Zam. What?
Just want to mention that we never spoke about Murph once in this. Just want to mention I'm not liking the new look for Murph. I prefer the old look before he evolved. That was more for me. I do feel he's gonna have some interesting parts to play in this entire season. We'll see where that goes. But I'm going to give episode 1 a 9 simply because it might not necessarily not deserve the 9 rating, but it took me by surprise on how much I was into it, that I have to credit it by giving it that 9 rating. I'll give episode 2 an 8. Also, very, very good episode as well. And obviously, we had Gwen finally getting involved in it too. So that was nice. It would be nice to see the whole gang get together at some particular point and get up with Shenanigans. And Dahl definitely needs to stop being a fucking idiot. That level of incompetence can only last for so long before you think to yourself, this character needs to be killed off, because you can't live for that long. Like you can't be that stupid and be alive. Eventually your stupidity will get you killed. So
rating, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And Cousin Cheeto.
I'm going to give them both a 7. Again, great start compared to last season for me. I give both episodes a solid 7. I'm hoping to see. I did love also, we kind of hinted on it. I like the addition of Nova Squad. It just good callback to TNG and the Nova Squad back on Starfleet Academy. Again, I still want my Starfleet Academy show that's based in the TNG Picard, TNG Picard era. I want it. Not that I hate the 32nd century, but I really want the Starfleet Academy back in TNG era. But yeah, I mean, just solid 7. I have no big gripes. It's all just a bunch of little things, and just kind of like, I think I think with Prodigy, at least these first 2 episodes, they kind of found like the lower decks slash like Picard Discovery balance in those, where it's like, you know, they're not as like super serious and super serialized as those 2 shows, but yet they're kind of they do kind of complement with the shenanigans and kind of like that, like the lower deck style, and they just kind of meet in the middle. And Prodigy season 2 so far seems to be doing that well. Now it's only 2 episodes in. They could completely drop the ball, but I just don't think they will. I don't think they're going to completely drop the ball on this. Believe it or not, I have faith that Alex Kurtzman so far has done an okay job, especially recently, and I think it's just gonna work. I really think it is. And I know Rick B probably just turned over in his, you know, his chair, but but you know, I really have faith that Kurtzman and his crew just kind of they've learned their lesson from the early Disco, early Picard days, and they're now giving us good Trek. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say it's phenomenal, but it's definitely good. So yeah, I'll give these both episodes a solid 7 for the starting point of the season.
Okay, very nice. I'm gonna grade, Prodigy a little bit differently than I would like kind of like a mainline Trek. I mean, I'm gonna forgive a lot of like the idiot plot stuff because it is a kids show, and contrivances to keep the plot moving along, and characters are going to act, be less mature and make more irresponsible decisions. But as Zam said, it can get grating after a while, and we need to see some development out of him. And probably it does feel a little bit like a regression on development he had in the first season with kind of some of Dal's behavior at times. But I was entertained. I was constantly, I was engaged with the episode. I didn't find myself wishing they were over. So I'm going to give both episodes an 8.
I just want to say I have sometimes a little issue with the editing, because I sometimes feel like the way the show ends and then boom, credits afterwards, it doesn't feel very, really like there's almost like a lack of panache in that style, and it just feels very flat. Episode ends and then credit, like it doesn't like fade to black in a very Star Trek style way, and then we get into credits or whatever. I know I'm really nitpicking here and stuff like that, but sometimes the editing makes me feel like this is it's not smoothly transitioning into other things at times. But that's just me nitpicking. But it's just the way other shows are. That there's a real naturalness to certain things, but not necessarily with this particular show regarding how things are done. So, but that's a nothing burger, to tell you the truth. So,
okay, well that's been our
Mage. I want to ask you a question. How many episodes have you seen?
Just these first 2.
Am I the only one who's seen 4 episodes then?
I think Tyler's seen a bunch of. I think Tyler, you've seen the whole season, right, or at least most of it. Hold on, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Tyler, you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. No, I binged the first season in like a week and a half or whatever. But no, I haven't had a chance. I mean, like I said, I just watched these 2 episodes like a half an hour before.
Oh, I thought you had said you had already seen the whole season.
Oh no, I need to catch up. I've had a lot going on.
No, we've all only seen these first 2 episodes, so except for Zam, I think Zam's seen a couple extra episodes, but I'm only watching them as we review them. I'm not trying to like blow through it like like a lot of people. So because we're going to be doing 2 episodes a week, just because there's no Trek on right now, so it's like might as well just enjoy it, enjoy it week by week, and So that's my opinion. As I said, you guys can do whatever you want, but that's what at least we're planning on doing, is doing 2 episodes a week and talking about them. So
I had to find out what the fuck happened after that wormhole. So
see, they got you cliffhanger.
Yeah, they got me. Like I said, they got me because, like I said, I needed to know. I had a bit of time on my hands, so I watched it. It's not like the episodes are that long anyway, but yeah, I stopped after 4. I didn't want to like continue after that.
I will probably watch ahead at a faster rate now that I'm going to have, in the coming days after this shoot. I'm on a film shoot right now. Well, not right now. I'm in the hotel, but got a film shoot the next couple of days. But then I'll have some days of just kind of chill time. So, like I said, I will probably, watch ahead. because I actually have a friend in this. The friend of mine, Bonnie Gordon, does the voice of the ship's computer, and also other various characters. So shout out to my friend Bonnie. She's also, very, very talented actress. She's a voice actress, great vocalist, musician. Got a solo album called Con Artist. Just, check her out. Bonnie Gordon, just Google her.
Okay,
Anyway,
definitely should.
Gotta support your friends,
Yeah.
Absolutely got to plug your friends. That being said, where
That
can folks find
sounded
your work
wrong,
usually,
but-
Tyler?
Do what?
Said that being said, plugging your friends, you can always find Tyler's work over at the Avalon Universe YouTube channel.
Yes,
So
you can.
some great fan films over there. Definitely should go check those out. We're here doing NerdTube stuff all the time, just a variety of different content here on the channel. Tomorrow night's a variety show and politics discussion called The World's Gone Insane. Let's talk about it. Zam, do you have a preview of that for us?
Well, as you know, we've had our
UK
general
had a-
elections
Yeah.
here in the UK, as well as other countries as well, like France. Have had some crazy elections too, and and obviously even with you guys, after our last
The
week's show,
debate.
like a couple of days later, you had your debate, and possibly with Biden stepping down, possibly. I've been rumors on that.
Possibly, yeah.
So that's going to be all spoken about, as well as my TikTok treasures. I got some humdingers. Man, TikTok is just so fucking great. Honestly, it really is. I got some real interesting TikToks to show you guys. Funny ones as well as fascinating ones. So yeah, look forward to all of that.
Awesome. You can find Cheeto here on NerdTube, also over at Milquetoast Gaming.
Yep.
And-
Retro streamer.
Retro streamer, and that you could say the same about me over at Major Rage TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where you can find us. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank my co-hosts. Wouldn't have been able to have this without you guys. So thank you, Cheeto. Thank you, Zam. Thank you very much, Tyler, for being here. I know you're busy with the shoot heading down in our neck
Glad
of
to
the
be here.
woods. Proud to be here. Well, we're proud to have you, and we're proud for all our audience members. Thank you for watching NerdTube. That's the name. Remember it.
The best channel, the best YouTube channel you've never heard of.
Oh yeah.